Talent Talk is sponsored by Company of Rogues Actors Studio, New York-style training for actors at all stages of their journey. With our part-time classes and full-time masterclass program, Rogues provides a unique post-secondary option under the guidance of working professionals. Mentoring and developing professional film and theater artists since 1993, Calgary's longest-running independent studio offers practical hands-on classes in a positive, supportive environment. Check us out at corogues.com. Company of Rogues, passionate about the art of acting.
Hey everybody, I'm Gary McLean. You're watching Talent Talk. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please do go to the Talent Talk YouTube and subscribe today. As always, the support's appreciated. And also a reminder that this and previous episodes are available on podcast mediums such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. Essentially, wherever you probably listen to your podcast is probably there. Check it out. Now, also, this is our 5th season. And we actually have sponsors this year, which I'm really excited about. So I've got to give a shout out to those folks because they've really helped us out this season. Let's start off with 6 Degrees Sound and Music, which is a Calgary local sound and recording and editing studio. Now, they usually do our in-studio sessions. Now, this isn't a remote one, so it's not necessarily applicable, but they've helped us out nonetheless. And then we have the film side of 6 Degrees, which is Workflow Film. And they're helping us out with our in-studio video recording and editing. Then we have Company of Rogues, which is a Calgary local acting school and studio. We have RJ Talent, which is a Calgary local talent agency. We have Counting Coup, Indigenous Film Academy, Herd of One Media, and finally we have ACTRA Alberta, the Actors Union. So thank you to those fine folks for helping us out this season. You've helped elevate us to another level, and hopefully we can continue doing that down the road. So thank you to those folks. Finally, today's guest. He's a return guest from earlier this season, which is actually a first to have like a guest repeat on the same season. So another first for Talent Talk. But it's been an interesting year in terms of actor strikes and writer strikes, things of that nature. But this guest and his team have put together a great project for indie filmmakers, which I'm really excited to talk about. They've started an online streaming service called NetIndie. And I'm very eager to find out more about it, being an indie filmmaker myself. So please join me in welcoming back Douglas Vermeeren.
Hey, super awesome to be with you. Thanks for having me and having me
As
back.
always, thanks for coming back.
Thank you. This is awesome.
Oh, no, absolutely. I've upgraded since the last time you were here.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to play that piano in the background there.
I would walk back there, but
yeah, next time, next season.
Right now. Yeah. But no, welcome back. Whereabouts are you right now?
Right now, I'm actually in Cancun, Mexico.
Nice. Warm weather. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually very hot. I'm sorry?
Are there any fires down there?
I haven't seen any. But yeah, it's beautiful here. I've been here a number of times and come back quite regularly, so it's a nice area.
Yeah, for sure. It's just been crazy up here for forest fires this season. It's nuts.
Of course, anyway. Yeah. It seems we always kind of get a kick in the butt on that, don't we?
We do. It seemed particularly worse this year, but I don't know. Same with BC. They've really struggled as well. But,
right.
Yeah, so Mexico, and how long are you there for?
Just till the 11th, and I'll come back to Calgary. I've actually got a couple of movies that I'm involved in myself, so got to get back to work. Funny enough, actually, why I took this trip is so I could kind of get off the radar a little bit, because I've got to memorize all the scripts, and I've got 4 of them with me, and it's a heavy load. So I'm not just sitting around the pool parties and all that kind of stuff. I'm actually really intense in some of these scripts, and nice. Hopefully we'll be ready. I'm pretty sure we will be ready, but there's a few that they've asked me to do some accents on some of them, so I'm working that out, and a couple of tricky things and some new stuff that I can't talk about now, but some roles that I've never ever tried to tackle before. So I'm delightfully challenged, but it's always good when we can stretch, right? And that just kind of helps us sort of remember that we're always learning. And I think that's an important thing for an actor to be doing.
Absolutely. And so when it comes to accents or dialect, how
Mm.
are you generally, do you find?
What's funny is what I try to do is I try to find um, examples of it. Often YouTube is a great place to go, but of people who are actually natives in that dialect. And then in addition to trying to learn what's on the script, I try to learn a little bit of that dialect. So even so, some of the slang, or actually last year I played a Russian mobster, and so I did learn quite a bit of Russian for that. And I took Russian in college, so that helped. And then I also did a German character last year, and so I spoke some German in that as well, and I had to work on the accent. In fact, I found a friend of mine who was German, and they worked with me on the accent. So, I mean, there's really no wrong answer. Obviously, they have a dialect coach often on the sets, and I try to find one ahead of time. But any pre-homework I can do always helps a lot. And then this is the funny part. My friends hate this. You can't just speak that accent with the script and the time you're doing it. I've got to be that guy quite often regularly during the day. And so we'll go around, we'll order fast food as this guy, we'll go talking at the mall with people as this guy, we'll ask for directions as this guy. And it's kind of funny. But then they wonder, like, if you meet a stranger and then you start speaking normally, they're like, well, which is it, man? Like, seriously. So it's pretty funny.
I find I'm the same way where I can, it takes me a while to actually get going with it,
Right.
but, and that's what, similar to you, like I would have to keep going the entire time,
Yeah, yeah.
basically, or else I'd just lose it again. I have to rework it again.
Right. Actually, one of my favorite things is because I'm in the UK quite a bit doing movies. In fact, I'm supposed to go back and do another show. I am allowed to talk a little bit about this, a show called The Road with Alan Cosgrove, who used to be over at the BBC as one of their top creative guys. But he's asked me to come back, but he wants me to have a British accent. And so sometimes when I'm over there doing films in the UK, I actually try to talk to other Brits with my Brit accent and see if I get caught. And I'm getting better, I think, but it's still kind of funny because sometimes they'll look at me and they'll be like, "Whereabouts are you from?" I'm not quite sure about that accent, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
because everything's kind of regional there, right? So if I'm even from a different part of London, they're like, "You're not from Luton, but that's a Luton accent. Like, what's going on?" or something, right? So it's
Right.
funny. It's funny,
It is. Yeah. And like you said, there's just so many different variances in the dialect. It's,
right?
yeah, you have to be spot on.
Well, it's so funny too because even when I go down to the States, people can hear that I'm a Canadian, and they don't really know how to place it right, but they know it's not Newfie, right?
Right.
So it's kind of funny. It's kind of
I
funny.
think as far as Canadian dialects go, I think we're the closest to the US. So that's, I think that's where they're a
Possibly,
little bit confused. They're kind
yeah.
of like, you're close, but you're not there.
Well, the thing is they catch me when it comes to saying words like sorry or about or whatever. Actually, here's something funny for all you tuning in if you are Canadian. Next time you meet an American, just tell them stuff like you're going to go down to their rumpus room, jump on their Chesterfield, give their sister a gaunchy pole, pull her toque over her eyes, get her a double double, and hork in your carburetor. And they're like, I have no idea what you even said. Right? Because those are like all uniquely Canadian things. It's hilarious.
Yes.
It's so,
Yeah,
so fun they do. Right?
absolutely. Like I know we just went to Michigan for the summer to see family out there, and we'd always kind of make fun of each other because, of course, they
Right.
say roof instead of roof,
Right.
things like that, or hacky instead of hockey, all
Right.
those sorts of things, right? So we always make fun of them, like,
Well, it was
uh,
funny because I was just talking to an American friend of mine. I said, "Have you got change for a toonie?" And he's like, "What the heck is that?" Right? So that's pretty good. That's
yeah,
pretty good.
yeah, absolutely. The loony, the toonie, they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Actually, what's funny, here's a good thing to think about because as you know, a toonie has a bear on the one side, right? So we always say it's got the queen on the front and her bear behind, right? Yeah, right, because it does. So,
Yeah, it's
anyways,
true.
there's your joke for the day, folks.
There you go. Absolutely. No, that's very cool. Yeah, it's great that you're keeping busy. I know things are a bit slow here. I think I've had one audition, I think, in the last 2 months.
I actually did a commercial in Calgary last Monday before I came out here for some credit union in town, but that was good, right?
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. Hopefully,
I
it
don't do a
doesn't.
lot of commercial auditions.
What's
I
that?
don't have a commercial face, I guess. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
do a
I
lot of commercial
do
auditions.
either. I don't do a lot of them often. Like as you and I were talking before we started, this year I'm playing a lot of bad guys or FBI agents or hitmen and all that kind of stuff. Doing a lot of that, which is fun. I totally love it. It's one of my favorite things. But normally I'm getting the good side of the law, so I'm getting law enforcement in that. This year I'm getting the other side of the law. where I'm the bad guy. So I don't know. Maybe as I get older, I just look a little more mean. I don't know.
Right? Yeah.
Could be,
Well, it's
could
all
be.
good though. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to play the bad guy, I think. So
Well, I'm
I've got
grateful to be working for sure, right? Like I'm just really
yeah,
grateful to be working. So,
absolutely. All right, let's kind of dig into the meat and bones of why we're actually here today.
right.
NetIndie.
Yeah.
I've actually got the link up, so I might
Oh,
share it
cool.
on the screen, and we can even kind of walk through some of this stuff, and we can talk about it, and
Yeah,
we can
there's
discuss
not a
the
lot on the
advantages. And
homepage, but I'm happy to do that. I think I think probably the greatest place to start is maybe the origin of NetIndie. Why I decided to do it. The reality is there used to be a ton of services when the internet first launched that would share short films, and I think that's because the bandwidth to show a film was so difficult that short films were the best that they could do, right? And so there was in the beginning, I don't know, some of you might remember, there's even a company called ifilm.com that was on that was showing a lot of really great shorts. And then, of course, YouTube came along and all these kind of things. And it used to be that iTunes and Amazon would sell a lot of short films. But as you know, they don't really do that anymore. In fact, in some territories, they have eliminated altogether the opportunity for independent filmmakers to upload and try and sell short content. And
yep,
so, recognizing this, that's always kind of bothered me a bit because a lot of my friends who are filmmakers and myself have produced a lot of short content. And the reality is there's tons of film festivals out there that are also taking short content. And so the audience for it, in my opinion, is alive and well. Even if you look at YouTube, a lot of short content is what people are seeking. We don't have like 2 hours sometimes to sit down and watch a film. And so I thought, since there's no real marketplace for filmmakers to monetize, and that's the difference, monetize their short films, what if I created it? Because even if you've got a short, excuse me, if you've got a short on YouTube, you're not really able to monetize it effectively. You've got to qualify for monetization. Then you got to reach staggering numbers of downloads and views for somebody to even be able to make money. And so I thought, man, we should find a better way. So kind of with NetIndie, what I did is I launched this platform and we're open to all short form content. So short films, webinar or web series, reality TV, comedy. I've got stand-up comics that are putting the things there, music videos, concert videos for musicians. We've got people who are doing like talk shows and podcasts, like what we're doing today. People that are doing style shows and information, how-to, educational, and personal development shows. And so it's a very broad spectrum of short format. And
okay,
the cool thing about it is, oh, and by the way, and also student films too. We're very excited about the student films we're seeing come in, and I believe that really it's not for me to judge the 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 subject matter so much or the quality or like these are people, these are artists who are looking to share what they do. So obviously we've got some benchmarks that need to be met, but we're very liberal in that regards. The only thing that we really don't take, to be quite frank, is we don't take pornography, of course. Although some of the films do have nudity, but in out and out pornography we do not, and definitely things that are calculated to be hate driven or derogatory towards certain individuals or groups. We're not interested in like having hate content, for example.
yeah,
So everything else kind of goes, and we've got a lot of really cool stuff that we're doing. By the way, we're also going to be doing film festivals, and we'll be streaming live some of our events like that too, so you can see the award ceremony for the festivals live, and you can participate in some of these things live. So that's I think really exciting. But the way that it kind of works is really simple. So it's free for anybody to download their content. Anybody who's a filmmaker can create an account and submit content. Like I said, the chances of you being accepted are very, very high. And when it goes live, essentially we've got a viewership that does pay a subscription to come in. So essentially, the subscription is $4.95 a month, which, if you think about it, even as a filmmaker, if you chose to submit for free, but also become a member, it's still cheaper than being part of a film festival. It's like $60 a year. It's next to nothing. But what we do is we take a percentage of that $60 per year that comes in, and we pay it back to everybody who's got projects that are getting views. So again, $4.95 a month. We pay out monthly to everybody. Percentage of that comes back to the filmmakers directly in terms of cash. Now, the thing that's kind of interesting is we've had a few filmmakers that have had their films on YouTube, and then they've also put it on with us. And even though their YouTube counter says that they've had like 300,000 views or more, they're actually getting more money from us because of the way our compensation structure is. And I should mention something really kind of, I think, unique. It's not just the number of views that a person gets that qualifies for the money that you get, right? Because we pay based on the views as well. But if we get more subscribers, obviously we've now got more money to pay out in views. So as our viewership grows, you get more money. So think about it, like that doesn't happen with Netflix. It doesn't matter how many people they have watching your show or even how many people subscribe to the service, the amount of money you make never changes. But with us, it does. So if our subscription group rises higher and higher and higher and higher, so do the payouts that we give to our filmmakers. And obviously those payouts are earned by the views, right? If you've got a popular show, we want to reward you for that.
For sure, yeah. So the one question I have, like you were mentioning that as the subscribers goes up, but also as your content goes up, that distribution
Right.
spreads out, correct?
Yeah, it definitely does. But if you think about it, with every filmmaker that comes on, they oftentimes bring an audience with them. So
Mhm.
obviously, we've got people that, we're encouraging exclusivity on our site because it increases your views, but it's not mandatory. So I've got people that have films on YouTube and also with us, but there's a lot of films that are only with us. So when those people bring the films only with us, we have a lot of promotion and marketing materials that we share and help with where they can attract their own audiences back to watch their own film, which obviously increases the income that they receive. Now, as you know, collateral damage, what's going to happen is people will come in and say, maybe watch your movie, The Yard Sale. But while they're there, they're going to poke around and see who else is there. And so other people's audiences will actually bleed over onto creating revenue streams for all the other filmmakers that are there as well. So it's let's call it more of a community than anything. And I just happen to be a little bit of the curator of what's coming into that community and controlling to make sure that we're not getting a bunch of crappy content, right? Because we want to have stuff that people are going to enjoy watching. And so it really is a community. And I guess that's really how it's going to grow is, we're going to do our best to attract more and more filmmakers. I should mention, in addition to the film festivals that we're doing, we're also now partnering with other film festivals. So I spoke with the LA Downtown Film Festival. They've got about 10,000 people come through on that festival, and they're going to co-op promote it, NetIndie, and we're going to promote them. And then their films have the opportunity to come and get on our site. We talked to the Vancouver Short Film Festival already. We've got something going out to the Edmonton Short Film Festival. We've got a handful of other ones that we're talking to. But as soon as we do our official launch, we're going to consistently, regularly add film festivals that we're partnered with. By the way, we also have recently, in addition to the film festivals, gone directly to filmmakers, and we've also worked with them. In fact, we've even given some of them cash, and they've included then our logo in the end credits, much like what you see, the Alberta tax credit type logos going in. So we've got our logos going in a couple independent films right now that we've helped to fund. So we have definitely our goal is to help independent filmmakers, because I'm one myself, right?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, and same here. So,
Yeah,
and that's why I was intrigued by this whole concept, right? So,
yeah, and I firmly believe that independent filmmaking is the future of filmmaking. Like, if you think about it, I'm sorry to say, and I hope I don't really offend anybody, because I'm doing so many big projects too that are affected by the SAG strike and the WGA strike. I know that a lot of independent people are getting waivers without a problem. In fact, I was just talking with a producer for Paramount Plus today. But it seems like the unions are really out to get the studios, because the studios don't want to yield or bend. But if we see the independent filmmakers, they're still getting their waivers, they're still making movies. So I personally believe the future of film is independent. And if you look at the distributors, for the most part, they don't really worry too much about where the film came from or if there's union or non-union. If it's a hot, good film, they'll do a deal with you. And they don't really care about the particulars of the production itself, right? And so it's interesting. I was just, by the way, NetIndie also partners with a lot of distributors. So if you've got an independent short that looks great, I've got like feature distributors that will do a deal with you based on the numbers that they see from you on our service, which is really kind of cool. And no other service does it. Like Netflix doesn't surrender their numbers to anybody. If you're a film on Netflix, you have no idea how many people watched your film, right? You'll only know if Netflix decides to renew that license with you. So we're sitting in a really cool position. But yeah, so as I mentioned, we've got distributors that we're partnered with. We've done a deal with one distributor in Los Angeles where they have short film content that comes to their door. They don't distribute it, so they pass it to us. And then we have features that come to our door, and we don't really do a lot with features, so we pass it to them. So it's just a really nice kind of helpful relationship where, both of us are able to help each other. And this is it too, is if I've got somebody in my service with NetIndie and I know they're going to produce a feature. So for example, I was just chatting with Adam Jack. We're going to do one together. He just won a bunch of awards for a film called The Lurker, which is just an incredible film. He's just cleaning up everywhere. Well, he's got another film that he's looking to do now based on what we're seeing as far as numbers for NetIndie on his material. We've been able to open the door for like 3 or 4 distributors that are talking to him, and they're giving him a minimum guarantee if they choose to do his film. But he's got like 3 of them, so it's like a safety net plus 2, right? So we've got a lot of really cool ways to help filmmakers that maybe most people haven't seen. And if you've never ever done a feature or even a short before, this is a great place to test the waters, right? Because you can put something up with us for free. It doesn't cost anything. You can try it out, and if it does well, you're going to make some money on it, and you're also going to see what people are enjoying about what you do. So there's really nothing to lose, right? But
Right.
I'm excited. This is great.
And how long have you guys been up so far? Like 5 years?
NetIndie actually hasn't had its official launch yet. We will officially launch in October, at the end of October.
Okay.
But no kidding. Right now, we're receiving. It depends on the day. I think our biggest day we had 500 films come in on one day, just shy of 500 films. But we've had constant stream ever since. And kind of what we've done is, so there's a Facebook group now. You can come and be part of the community and learn all about it. But we've also been targeting and talking to a lot of groups that already are on social media, on all kinds of platforms, saying, hey, bring your content. And the filmmakers have responded. It's been crazy, but I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. And of course, if you're watching the show and you've got content, you could just head over to the website. I know you've got the link, but you can submit directly through there, or even email us directly at support@netindie.com. We can help you get set up. It literally takes about 2 minutes to build a profile. So of course we can pay you. We need to know who you are if we're going to send you money. But once your profile's set up, you can submit films as often as you want, and it's just as easy as uploading to YouTube or any other platform.
Okay. I know with some streaming services like Amazon, whatever, there's a whole tax situation. Like, is that something you guys deal with it yet at this
We
point?
don't even get into the tax situation. Kind of what we do is we pay you, and then that's up to you what you'll do with it, right? I know that services like Stripe and all that kind of stuff, they also catalog taxes and all that. But the reality is we got filmmakers from all over the world. So
Exactly.
the agreement that we have, it's almost, let's just say it's a licensing agreement that basically per view as it comes based on the subscription models, you get paid. And your taxes are completely up to you, right? We don't really want to get too much into that. And let's be honest, I mean, if a viewer, say from Indonesia somewhere, is watching your film, I don't know how that's taxed. Like, I don't think you even have to pay GST if somebody outside of Canada is watching your film. But I'm
Right.
gonna leave that for an accounting question. I don't want to like get anybody into trouble by saying don't pay your taxes. I don't want to be that guy. But yeah, I mean, I think with the internet has muddled a lot of those questions, and only your accountant can really help you because again, like we surrender the data of where the film was watched, so I can tell you that, but what you'll do with that income will be really up to you.
Right. Okay. You know what? I am going to share the screen with the
Yeah,
website.
please.
'Cause,
That's cool.
for the folks watching, like I was talking to Douglas before the show, and I've actually already submitted one of my short films to NetIndie, and I can tell you right off the bat, it's super easy to submit stuff. So we'll just give it a look here. Let's do that.
Cool.
Go.
Yep, that's us.
That's you, and this is what you see as soon as you go to netindie.com.
Right.
Super easy. They've got frequently asked questions down here, which nice, easy questions to and relevant questions. I found. I went through all of them. I was like, great. $4.99. Honestly, like you said, that's $60 a year. You can't really go wrong with that.
And you know what? As a filmmaker, just to let you know, because I do know this is a tax situation, that's deductible for you because you're needing to do that either as a film submission, like if you would a festival, or also again to have, let's call it a community feed to be able to showcase your films. So my accountant has told me that's tax deductible for filmmakers.
Okay, perfect. And here, for you indie filmmakers, this is how easy it is. Top of the screen, film submission. You click on that baby, go to submit your film, and there's just a handful of questions. Really easy
Easy.
questions to answer.
Yep.
What
Yeah, we
rating
try
you
to
want to
make.
give it?
And by the way, those ratings again, we let you rate your own film on this. It's funny because I've done movies and I've had to submit them to a governing body in Alberta, and they have actually watched them and then they've assigned my rating for me. Most time I've agreed with it, but I don't always. But here we invite you to select your rating, and then of course, if once we watch it, if we don't feel it is exactly correct, we will then approach you and we'll have a discussion with you. We don't just want to arbitrarily assign what your film is. So
Yeah.
I just thought that was good to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely, right. And I mean, yeah, I think it's quite reasonable. And down at the bottom here, of course, agreeing to the terms and conditions. You know what? Terms and conditions are nice and simple as well. I've gone through those, especially after watching Netflix's Black Mirror this season. I mean, made a point
Yeah,
of
fair
reading
enough.
the.
Well, you know what? I'd be happy to even talk towards that terms and conditions. So here's the easy, simple explanation of it. So basically, we do not require exclusivity, but of course, you make more money when the film is exclusive. So you can have it on other platforms, not a problem with us. But the more you have it exclusive, I guarantee you're going to make more money because you're channeling all of your viewers to one source rather than spreading them across several different platforms, right? The other thing that our terms and conditions are, of course, if you're not happy, you can have your film removed from our service at any given time. By the way, that's the same also with membership. You can sign up and you can also cancel for like any time you want. Okay. One of the other things that we do when your film is on our site, we will often use some of those films in our promotion. So, for example, we have some trailers that are now going out that feature content from films that are on our site. Kind of like what you see Netflix or Prime does, those little commercials that show up where you see them on YouTube or theatrically or whatever. So once you get on the site, we can also select your films to be part of our promotions, which is great because that elevates your status as a filmmaker. By the way, I will mention just as a sort of segue here, we are implementing a strategy where we can partner with our filmmakers if they'd like to have their films promoted, because we're going to have a presence at various fan expos, Comic Cons, other film festivals, in the theater. I'm doing a deal with Landmark Cinemas where we're going to have trailers go at the beginning, and also some of the cheaper theaters like the County Meadows Dollar Theater or Lethbridge's Movie Mill and other places like that, where we'll have trailers that will go up. Also AMC, we've talked to those people about doing that. So we can actually feature your films or parts of your films in the theater if you'd like that. We also are doing a deal for various things like the transit ads, where you'll see movie posters going up that feature some of the movies that we have on the service. And some of them will be compilations of several movies, but others will be strictly one movie that we think is going to do really well. We've got a deal with Hollywood Weekly magazine where we're going to be running some full page ads with them. We've actually talked already to Indie Rap, and they've already done an article on us as well. So we'll do some of our films featured in there. I guess here's the long and short shape to say it. As I mentioned, we got relationships with distributors, but I've also got a ton of relationships through my own film career with movie media, a variety of people like that, movie theaters and exhibition groups, fan expos, and also other platforms where they promote films. So that will all be accessible to our community as well. And so if you want to do that, some of it we will cover the cost for you, and others you can partner with us and get it at a discounted rate or co-op with other filmmakers so that you will be sharing the cost collectively to be able to promote your films. And I'm a firm believer that films are maybe made in production, but they're sold in marketing. And so if you're a filmmaker and even you're doing a short film for a couple of $1,000s, throw another $200 at it and market it a little bit, and you'll see that you'll make everything back a lot easier, right? So just
Right.
really an important consideration. But we're here to support you with that, right? All my resources become yours. My Rolodex becomes yours. And we really want the films on the platform to succeed, especially the good ones. We're really behind you. So if you're talented, we want to know who you are.
Absolutely, right. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
great. I think that's really encouraging. I think for the folks that might be watching this to find out more information is the fact that you do have this network of people. You do have this network of companies, if you will, to kind of help elevate. I know that's from my perspective, being a small indie guy in Calgary, where the market's not overly large. That's encouraging.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
yeah.
this is what I love too. So a lot of people ask me, how did I get to do what I do? Like before we started talking on the phone here or on the call here, I was actually in LA and I just did a show for Paramount Plus. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the title of it, but this year I've also done a second film down in Los Angeles where I was one of the leads for a group that used to do stuff for Lifetime and Hallmark. I just got back from the UK doing this stuff for the guys from the BBC, right? So, I mean, how's this Calgary guy doing these big films? And I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to criticize myself. I'm probably not the best actor in the world, but I certainly am a hustler and I work hard. Well, can I tell you what it is that's getting these opportunities? It's my network, right? It's all who you know in this business, a big part of it. And so if you're a filmmaker and you're talented, the only thing maybe holding you back is that no one's ever really opened the right doors for you yet. And Calgary, I love Calgary. I was born and raised there. It's my, my home. I still have a house there. I still think it's probably one of my favorite places in the earth, except for maybe sometimes Stampede Week gets a bit crazy, right? You know
Yep.
what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
But the reality is we just don't have the same depth of opportunity that a place like Los Angeles has, or that a place like London, England has, or pick a number of other places, Atlanta now for Netflix and all of these places. But if you're willing to, and you're really wanting to be part of this career, filmmaker in front of camera or behind the camera, there are lots of people in our city that are connected globally. And if you can align and partner with these guys or collaborate with them, or at least get on their radar, oftentimes they can point you in the direction of people that can help you for the next step in your career. And the reality is there's a lot of Canadians, no kidding, that have really made it big in places like Los Angeles. I mean, the list goes on and on. They love Canadians there. And hate to say it, the UK, they love us even more because they don't really always care for the Americans. But Canadians are easy to get along with. And so, man, I'm booking jobs left and right in London. It's crazy. So anyways, if I can help anybody, that's the goal. We want to help, and we want to, make it so that those with talent, wherever you are, can be seen.
Absolutely. And again, this is a great platform for that.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very excited. I think it's going to be so much fun, right?
Absolutely. So do you have a vision of where this will go to a certain
Yes,
extent?
absolutely. So obviously online, we want to become the go-to place for short content. And again, when I say short content, I don't just mean short films. I mean all short content, everything that you can think of. Now, the other thing that I really want to see us do is start producing live events where we're doing film festivals, or we're screening shorts. One of my friends who was part of the Arizona Film Commission, they're bringing a bunch of films on with us too. But in Tucson, one thing that they do is they actually have a month, or a night a month, where they screen nothing but shorts in the theater. They have one night every single month where they screen shorts. So I'm like, well, why couldn't we do that too? And not just locally, but in a variety of markets. Let's build something where every market kind of has its own short night. And I think that would be really, really fun. So I'd love to see that happen. And I believe that, I know in Calgary, CSIF does that from time to time. In fact, I went to one, must have been maybe even last year, and it was so much fun. And there were so many talented people there. And of course, I met a lot of people, some that I knew, and I was excited to see the films like Jason Theron. You've had him on before. Great films, right? And I saw one of his films there, and it was just like, this is awesome, right? And so they're great opportunities if you can do these nights for networking, for collaborating, for finding other artistic people that you want to hang with and do this with. So why couldn't we do something like that once a month in a local theater somewhere? And I think if we've got a NetIndie community, there's two things. One, I know where the filmmakers are. So if I want to do one in Calgary, I know who my Calgary people are. But I also know my audience because I have all that data and I'm prepared to share it, right? So let's say that we get a new film from somebody. Let's say, again, that maybe Yard Sale is one that we want to show in our event. Well, what we would do is we would then blast all the people in that community where we're going to show it, saying, hey, your subscription gets you out to come see this film, right? Come join us in person and collaborate and network and meet other people, and come and even meet the filmmakers and the stars, their casts, and everybody that was involved in this production. Come hang with them. And it becomes kind of a networking party. And by the way, one of the other things that I've talked to a friend of mine also in Calgary who produces films. So I've got a lot of celebrity friends, both celebrities in front of the camera and behind the camera, like some very heavy hitting Academy Award winning producers and directors and people that I'm connected with. And we thought that by doing these monthly things, some of those people we would invite to come out as a guest and maybe even deliver a lecture before we start our shorts that night, so that everybody can learn a little bit from these people who are doing these really big things in film. And by the way, that's another reason why I think I would recommend to everybody, if you're submitting a film, great, but also support the community, get a membership, because we're going to have some cool stuff that comes that's not just about watching our films, which are going to be great because you're putting them in, right? But
Yeah.
it's also part of a community where we've got some really great access to opportunities and people that you wouldn't have known before. And plus, I'll be honest, I would be a member simply just see what other people are producing as shorts, right? What are other people doing? How can I learn? How can I grow? And what's working, what's not? What are the films that are getting the most views so I can create something if I want to in that genre? Or maybe, how can I maybe improve my film so that it matches the caliber of what other people are doing? Like, I don't know. The one thing that I think was amazing, like I went to film school, right? And the thing that was interesting is I had to take a class called film analysis. At first, I wasn't even sure what it was, but it ended up being one of my favorite classes because it exposed me to movies that I had never seen. And it really stretched my ability, my toolbox, if you will, to be able to look objectively at films and to be more creative. Like, we can only paint with the paints, the colors that we have. And so by watching and participating in other films and seeing what others are doing, I'm building more paint. And so I can create better. Even as an actor, I watch other actors. If I see how someone else, if I've got to do a scene, let's say a death or something, I'll watch how other actors did that. And it gives me ideas now on how I can do it. So,
Yeah.
If you seriously call yourself a filmmaker, you got to make this a full-time, all-consuming thing that you better start learning and loving films like no other thing possible, right? And those who already do this, you get me, right? Like, film becomes the air that you breathe, right? It's crazy.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. We're actually past our 30-minute mark, so more or less we kind of wrap it up there. Unless there, like, if there's something else you want to, discuss on, regarding that indie.
Well, maybe just finish by saying my love of films makes me want to encourage who's ever watching to submit yours because I want to see it. And I'm excited to see what people are creating now, especially in the short film content. And seriously, if you're on the fence about whether even to start shooting a film and creating a film, I hope that I can inspire you with the idea of NetIndie to get started, that there is an opportunity to monetize your shorts. So it's not just, if I make it, then what do I do with it? Well, if you make it, you get it to us and we'll help you. And I'm happy to have those conversations. Even you can just email us directly through support@netindie.com, and we want to help you. But if you've got it in your heart that you want to be a filmmaker, if it's even a thought that crossed your mind that, whoa, what if? I'm going to tell you that, honestly, get started and try it, because years will pass and regret is a hard thing to carry. If you don't get working on a film, one day you'll be in your 50s and 60s and say, man, this job that I had for my whole life, it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a filmmaker. So listen to that now and you'll be grateful you did. So if that's the one lesson you get out of this, get started, make your movie. And everybody's got the ability. We've all got our cameras now, right? So just get out there, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And again, myself, I only started doing this 13 years ago now, I guess, and I wish I'd started much younger because I feel I might be a bit more accomplished by now. But it is what it is.
You know what? Things happen the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is listen to your heart, and your heart will tell you, get going. And there's a lot of great organizations that are there to help you. I'm just because I'm a member, I'm going to put in a quick plug for CSIF. I love those guys, and and in Edmonton, like Fava and people like that, there's equipment there that's accessible to you. If you've got a story and an idea, go join one of those groups. And there's so many people that are supportive, and it can be a really good opportunity for you. So, there's really no reason why you can't get started. Everything's there for you if you really want to do it. So get out and do it.
Absolutely, and of course, CSIF, which is the Calgary Society of Independent Filmmakers, great place to network, great place for going to workshops, things like that. And obviously, it's not just Calgary. They're pretty much in every city. There's a community of some sort that's catered to that. So check out your local areas. Check out those kind of things. They're very beneficial for sure.
100%.
So yeah, thank you, Douglas, for sharing your time and sharing your information about NetIndie. So folks, if you're wanting to submit your film, netindie.com, check it out. Thank you.
Thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming back. Everybody else, we'll maybe see you next week. See you next time.